Welcome to the Deep Dive, the only place where we take that whole stack of research you've curated and turn it into something genuinely useful.
Hmm.
Today, we're tackling the great paradox of modern ambition, which is, work.
Right?
We commit nearly a third of our lives to our careers, often grinding to maximize that paycheck, only to find out that the high salary, it frequently brings along a healthy dose of burnout.
And misery, yeah.
Exactly. So the question you brought us today is simple. Can we have the big paycheck and the profound happiness? Is that work-life balance thing even real?
Well, that tension is, it's exactly the core of this deep dive. Our mission is to move far beyond that simplistic, money versus meaning debate.
Okay.
We synthesized extensive global salary studies, decades of profound psychological research, diving into concepts like ikigai and flow, and some of the most practical career development strategies out there, specifically job crafting.
So you're really trying to isolate the ingredients.
We're aiming to isolate the specific, measurable ingredients that lead to true career fulfillment for you.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we get to purpose, we have to start where everyone starts, usually with that uneasy feeling about their bank account. Does money actually buy happiness?
The data on dollars and delight is incredibly nuanced, and frankly, it was confusing until pretty recently. For years, major studies offered, well, conflicting findings.
Right.
But a massive 2023 collaboration, and this is notable, it featured Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman and Matthew Killingsworth. It helped reconcile the data from millions of individuals worldwide.
So what do they finally settle on? What about that income ceiling everyone talks about?
They confirmed the concept of income satiation, but, and this is the key, they defined happiness in two distinct ways. They were looking at data from huge studies, like the Gallup World Poll.
Okay, walk us through those two types of happiness, because that distinction feels really crucial here.
It absolutely is. So first, you have life evaluation. This is your long-term satisfaction, how you feel about your life when you stop, step back, and just reflect on it as a whole. For life evaluation, the global average satiation point is around $95,000.
95.
Okay. Second, there is emotional well-being. These are your daily feelings, your level of joy, stress, anger, that moment-to-moment stuff. And that satiation point is significantly lower. It hovers between $60,000 and $75,000.
So if I'm getting this right, 95 grand makes me feel good about my life when I stop and think about it on a Sunday.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But 75,000 is the point where my baseline stress level stops going crazy on a Tuesday afternoon.
That is a perfect non-academic way to describe it.
Yeah. Once you hit that emotional well-being threshold, you've largely mitigated the financial stress that causes that daily misery.
You can pay your rent.
You pay your rent, cover the unexpected car repair, and buy groceries without that constant worry.
But the 2023 study found that huge exception, right? The happiness of the already happy high earners just kept accelerating past 100,000.
Yeah. So if money isn't just mitigating stress anymore, what is it actually purchasing at that high end?
This is the critical finding. For the majority of people, happiness does continue to increase with income. And for the happiest people, the impact of money actually accelerates beyond that $100,000 mark.
So what is it?
The research overwhelmingly suggests the true value of this high income isn't, material possessions. It's about purchasing autonomy.
Autonomy. So control of your schedule, control over your environment.
Precisely. High income buys you the ability to say no to bad projects, to delegate tasks you don't want, and to avoid unpleasant situations. But at the very high end, this autonomy dividend expands even further.
How so?
It buys access to specialized healthcare, personalized learning, and critically, the ability to engage in high-impact philanthropy or community building, which are just massive fuels for meaning and purpose.
And that connects back to that ikigai framework we're going to talk about.
It all connects.
That reframes the entire discussion then. The money isn't the destination. It's a tool for acquiring control, which in turn lets you pursue purpose.
Exactly.
So if I'm listening to this and I just got a major income bump, say finishing residency or a big promotion, how does the data tell me I should apply that money to maximize happiness?
You should view that increase as a way to buy back future time. The advice we saw suggested allocating that extra money first toward financial security. So eliminating high-interest debt, front-loading your savings.
Is the foundation solid first?
Yes, because that early security gives you the freedom down the road to potentially reduce work hours
Hmm.
or outsource tasks you just fundamentally dislike, like, I don't know, extensive tax prep or house cleaning,
Right.
or even take a career pivot without that financial fear. You use money to buy back time, and time is autonomy.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. If achieving financial freedom is a tool for gaining autonomy, what happens when we use that autonomy to actively build a life defined by purpose, by deep meaning?
That's the key transition.
We shift from the external metric, the income, to the internal structure of a fulfilling life.
And that's where we move to the Eastern philosophical concept of ikigai. This Japanese idea is often translated as a reason for living or a life worth living.
And there are studies on this.
Yes, studies empirically link it to increased well-being and, remarkably, life expectancy.
I know Ikigai gets simplified a lot into that four-circle Venn diagram, what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for.
Mm,
But the sources you shared present a much more holistic view, detailing the underlying human needs it satisfies.
they do. To truly apply ikigai to your career, you have to understand the deeper needs it fulfills.
Hmm.
For example, it encompasses the need for growth and change, the necessity of continuous learning in your role.
Okay.
It also covers influence, which is that profound feeling of being necessary to others, that your work matters to someone beyond just your boss.
That idea of influence is huge. It takes the pressure off saving the world and puts it on just being necessary.
Exactly. When you feel necessary, your work has inherent meaning. Ikigai also explicitly includes the need for freedom of choice, that autonomy piece we just discussed,
Right, it's all connected.
and the need for future goals and dreams. A job that offers true fulfillment is one that feels like a platform, not a ceiling. It aligns you toward a desirable future.
It's remarkable how that holistic Eastern philosophy, it maps right onto the longest running empirical study of happiness in the West.
The Harvard study of adult development, which began tracking participants way back in 1938, gives us that Western perspective. And its singular, decades-long finding points to the exact same core element. Good relationships keep us happier and healthier.
This often gets framed as just, have some friends. But the research seems so much deeper than that.
It is. They distilled three crucial lessons. First, social connections are just fundamentally good for you, and loneliness is actively toxic. Isolated individuals experienced earlier health decline and lived shorter, less happy lives.
Wow. Second, quality trumps quantity. Having tons of surface-level connections doesn't help if your core relationships are strained. In fact, high-conflict marriages were found to be worse for your long-term health than divorce.
Worse than divorce.
Yes. Those who were satisfied in their relationships at age 50 were the healthiest at age 80. So investing in your partner or close friends at 50 is basically preventative medicine for your 80-year-old self.
You got it.
Yeah.
And third, secure relationships offer a powerful cognitive protection, helping to guard your memory and brain function in old age. So whether you approach fulfillment through the holistic framework of Ikigai or the empirical lens of the Harvard study, purpose and connection are just. They're non-negotiable pillars of a good life.
So we've established the pillars: autonomy, which you can buy with money; purpose through Ikigai and strong relationships. But how do we actually feel that engagement, that kinetic drive? When we are immersed in our job, we need to look at the actual psychological engine of motivation.
Right. That internal engine is the state of flow, a concept from the psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Flow is that optimal experience where you become so utterly immersed in an activity that you lose track of time.
You're just in the zone.
You're in the zone,
Yeah.
and you feel this deep, intrinsic sense of effortless purpose. The boundaries between you and the task just dissolve.
Okay.
Now, the core condition for achieving flow is a perfect balance between the challenge of the task and your skills to meet it.
The sweet spot.
It is the sweet spot. If the challenge is too high and your skills are too low, you feel anxiety. If your skills are too high and the challenge is too low, you feel boredom. Flow sits right in that channel.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, how does this motivational theory integrate into a real, actionable model of purpose?
We can synthesize it through something called self-determination theory, or SDT. This integrated system that drives fulfillment relies on satisfying three fundamental psychological needs in your work environment. If you satisfy these three needs, you maximize your chances of achieving flow and living out your ikigai.
So these are the three core drivers of our intrinsic motivation. What are they?
First, competence, the feeling that you are capable and effective in what you do. This is what drives mastery and growth.
Mm.
Second, autonomy, which brings us full circle right back to the money discussion. It's the need to feel that you are the source of your own activities, that you have control.
And I'm guessing the third one connects back to the Harvard findings.
That's relatedness. The feeling of being connected to, supported by, and valued by others. When these three needs, competence, autonomy, and relatedness, are consistently satisfied, that is when the psychological machinery of a meaningful life just kicks into gear.
And satisfying those needs generates specific outputs, right? The benefits of a good career.
Precisely. The outputs generated by this model include enhanced well-being, which
Mm.
you can measure through frameworks like PERMA, better physical health, because Ikigai is associated with lower disease risk and significantly improved performance.
Now that we have the ingredients autonomy, ikigai, and the drivers of competence, autonomy, and relatedness, let's look at where people are actually finding this blend of pay and purpose. What kinds of jobs naturally support all this?
Well, happy jobs generally share four non-negotiable characteristics: high satisfaction, freedom, balance, and good pay, often with salary transparency.
Hmm.
Looking at specific roles, we see that high satisfaction often correlates really strongly with autonomy, even in jobs that don't require, say, high academic credentials.
Like what? What's an example?
Real estate agents, surprisingly, report some of the highest job satisfaction rates. They score a 4.2 out of 5.
Really?
Yeah, and this high satisfaction is almost entirely driven by their operational autonomy and control over their schedule and sales process.
That makes sense.
On the meaning side, the roles with the highest reported meaning are often those that address human suffering. Surgeons reported 96% meaning. Physical therapists reported 90%.
So if we blend those, the high meaning and high autonomy factors with a six-figure salary, what kind of roles stand out?
It's roles that let you balance high intellectual challenge and people engagement with significant control over your time.
For example?
Software engineers and data scientists, especially in advanced AI roles, are cited a lot because the work is intrinsically motivating. You get high competence, lots of flow, the pay is excellent, and the flexibility is generally high.
Okay.
Psychiatrists blend deep purpose with high pay. And financial advisors often score high because they're so people-focused and have business flexibility, which gives them both relatedness and autonomy.
That covers traditional roles, but I mean, the nature of work is changing so fast. A lot of people are trying to build a job defined purely by their own competence and purpose, bypassing the old constraints. I'm talking about the creator economy.
This is the ultimate pursuit of autonomy and competence. The global creator economy market was estimated at over $200 billion in 2024.
Wow.
And projections show it skyrocketing to $1.3 trillion by 2033. That's a 23.3% compound annual growth rate. It's immense.
So why is it growing so fast? What's the driver?
It's driven by the demand for personalized content, direct-to-fan monetization, and platforms that empower individuals to become content entrepreneurs. The largest segment by revenue share is individual content creators. They hold over half the market.
Mm-hmm.
These individuals are designing roles that perfectly satisfy those SDT needs we talked about. They choose what they focus on.
Mm-hmm.
That's autonomy. They constantly improve their craft. That's competence. And they build direct communities, which is relatedness.
This is all great for people who can pivot or are just starting out. But what about the listener who is curious about all this, autonomy, flow, purpose, but is in a solid job? They can't just quit. They're not ready to become a content entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What's the most immediate, actionable strategy to inject some fulfillment into the role they have right now?
That's where the concept of job crafting becomes so essential. Job crafting is the active process of reshaping your job design, the tasks, the relationships, the very perception of your role to better suit your personal needs and passions.
So it's an internal strategy.
It's an internal strategy, which is critical when, external job mobility might be low.
Mm-hmm.
It's about tailoring the job to fit you, rather than conforming yourself to a stale job description.
Right.
Job crafting takes three main forms, and we can illustrate them with, the example of a cook in a busy, standardized restaurant kitchen.
Okay.
First, task crafting. This is altering the boundaries or the number of your tasks.
So what would that look for our cook?
Instead of just rigidly following the menu, the cook might task craft by volunteering to manage the daily special board. This lets them design and execute new dishes. They are altering the what of their job to introduce a novelty and competence challenge.
Okay, I see.
We also see this when a manufacturing manager deliberately expands her job to spend 15 minutes working on the floor daily, not just to supervise, but to improve relationships with her team.
So second would be about people.
Second is relational crafting. changing your interactions. For our cook, this would mean actively seeking feedback from the head chef or interacting with the waitstaff about customer reactions. They're building a better sense of relatedness.
Mhm.
A nurse might focus more on personal therapeutic interactions with patients to fulfill a personal passion for counseling.
And the third type is purely cognitive. It shifts the thinking, not the behavior.
That's cognitive crafting, changing how you view your job's purpose. Our cook might reframe food preparation from just a set of ordered steps into an expressive art form that creates memorable experiences for people.
I like that.
A hospital cleaner stops seeing their role as just sweeping and starts viewing it as contributing to a sterile, healing environment for thick people, directly aligning their daily tasks with that ikigai need for influence and meaning.
This is a powerful framework, but it does require some organizational support, right? A manager can't just have their team ignoring crucial tasks to pursue personal fulfillment. Oh, absolutely. Managers should foster environments that allow for beneficial crafting. They need to provide autonomy and model positive crafting behaviors, like that manufacturing manager on the floor, to ensure that the crafting aligns with organizational goals. It's a win-win.
The employee is more fulfilled,
Yeah,
and the organization gets to keep them.
exactly. A more engaged, competent person.
So to give the listener clear direction for what to craft, we can use those motivational frameworks. You could adjust Daniel Pink's three core motivators, autonomy, mastery, and purpose, or use the adjustable dials from Burnett and Evans, money, impact, and expression.
Hmm.
You look at your job, decide which dial you want to turn up, and use one of those three forms of crafting, task, relational, or cognitive, to make it happen.
So to summarize the findings of this deep dive, true career fulfillment is achieved when you stop viewing money as an end goal and instead use the security it provides, which is primarily autonomy, to pursue activities that satisfy your intrinsic psychological needs.
Those core needs are competence, autonomy, and relatedness. When these needs are consistently met, you are far more likely to enter that intensely engaging state of flow, all guided by an overarching sense of purpose, whether you call it ikigai or just a meaningful life, and supported by strong, protective relationships.
And what we've seen over and over with concepts like ikigai, flow, and joe crafting is the incredible, measurable power of focusing on intrinsic motivation and embracing the present moment in our work.
Yeah.
It transforms the experience from just a means to an end into a worthwhile activity in its own right.
It moves your career from a long-term transaction to a valuable daily experience.
The path to career happiness often starts not by quitting your job or chasing a higher number, but by reframing the social impact of the task you already perform. So consider this provocative closing thought. We saw that finding your reason for living your ikigai can actually reduce your risk of disease. If research confirms this physical health benefit of purpose, what subtle shift in perspective today, what single act of cognitive crafting might be the longest-term investment you could possibly make in your physical well-being?